Question 4 tells us that children estimated the number of beans in a jar, and these were the estimates of 5 children. And we can see below the number of beans that Amir, Olivia, Emma, John, and Chen estimated were in the jar. It also tells us that the exact number of beans in the jar was 1,380. The first question asks us whose estimate was closest to the exact number. Now, to do this, I'm going to write down next to each of the children's estimates how close they were to the exact number, which is 1,380. So starting at the top, Amir guessed that there were 1,310 beans. So if we subtract this from 1,380, we can find out how far away his estimate was. So 1,380 minus 1,310 equals 70. So I'll write that down there just to keep track. Next, we move on to Olivia, who guessed that there were 1,220 beans in the jar. Now that is 160 away, so we'll write that down just there. Emma's guess was 1,400, which is actually an overestimate, so her guess was greater than the exact number of beans in the jar. But we can still use the same logic as before, so the difference between 1,400 and 1,380 is 20, so we can write that down just there. So her guess was 20 away from the actual number. Moving on to John, he guessed that there were 1,290 beans in the jar, and that is 90 away from our exact number. And finally, Chen guessed there were 1,460 beans in the jar, which is 80 away from our exact number. Therefore, the estimate closest to the exact number will be Emma's, because her guess was only 20 away from the exact number of beans in the jar. So we'll write Emma up there. So we were basically just looking for the smallest number from those which we'd just written. As for the second question, we can use what we've just done to help us. So it says whose estimate was furthest from the exact number. Now, this will be Olivia's, as she guessed that there were 1,220 beans, which is 160 away from 1,380. So this time we were looking for the greatest difference, so the biggest number, which is Olivia's.